Brothers and sisters, my name is John Nichols, and I am a media reformer. And I don't know how we could have done anything that we have done up to this point without the brilliant vision and voice of Amy Goodman and Democracy Now! Amy Goodman! Now, I came out here to tell you something that I don't usually reveal in public, but I am in love. I got this great big love for Renku Sen and color lines. Because they went out a couple weeks ago and they said that nobody, no human being should be referred to as illegal. And they launched the Drop the I campaign to get media in this country to stop referring to immigrants as illegal and to start recognizing that these are the huddled masses yearning to be free that Emma Lazarus wrote about. And this week, Associated Press, the most widely circulated news outlet in this country, accepted the wisdom of the Drop the I campaign, and they will no longer refer to immigrants as illegal. That's media justice. That's media reform. It is happening now, and people in this room are making it happen. Brothers and sisters, I am in love. I am in love with Lisa Graves and the Center for Media and Democracy and the ALEC Exposed campaign. I am in love with an untethered, free, and independent journalism that goes out and finds a story no one else has told about how our state governments are being guided by corporations and the politicians who do their bidding, that told the secrets of how our governance is being warped, how our politics is being undermined by secret money, gave us that story, and I am so in love with Color of Change, the reform group that went out, took that story, turned it into activism, and made Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Apple Computer, and Walmart quit ALEC because they didn't want to be a part of that group anymore. You know, we talk so much about media reform that sometimes we view it as a vision somewhere out there in the distance, like what Walt Whitman used to talk about. He would say that he saw something, a vision that shone through the dark, sometimes lit a little bit like lightning, something that we didn't see very often, something that couldn't be real. I want you to know media reform is real, and it is happening right now, and we are winning real fights every day, and human beings are no longer being called illegal, and corporations are no longer having their way in every state capital because of the work of the people who forged free press and the media reform movements associated with it. I'm in love with that reality because it makes me love my country. It makes me believe that this country can and will be what it must be. And I want to tell you something. 10 years ago, when Bob McChesney and Josh Silver and I started to talk a little bit about a group called Free Press, We didn't know where it was going to go. We didn't have some grand vision. We thought we would be in church basements and union halls for years and years and years. We didn't know that all of you people were out there waiting to be part of something. And we didn't know that you were so much smarter than us, that you would take the idea of a media reform movement and turn it into something so much bigger, a media justice movement, a media truth movement, a media reality movement to journalism itself, and you would redeem the promise of journalism in this country. You have done so much in 10 years, and I hate to tell you, you haven't even gotten started. Brothers and sisters, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with you tonight because you've heard so many great speakers, but I want to say one thing to you. Media reform has never been about media. Media reform will never be about media. Media reform is about those wonderful lines in the First Amendment of the American Constitution where it says that we have a right to a free press in this country. That right was not written into our Constitution so that Rupert Murdoch could do whatever he wants. That right was written into our Constitution so that the people of this country would have the information they need to make informed decisions and to run their own affairs. Freedom of the press is the underpinning of American democracy. We are not a media reform movement. We are a democracy movement. And I stand before you tonight to tell you that we've got to be more than media reformers. We have to be about something much more than just media reform. The challenges, despite our victories, just keep getting greater. We've got a Supreme Court saying that corporations can spend whatever they want to buy elections. We've got people who would actually challenge the Voting Rights Act and take us back 50 years to the days when we didn't have the assurance that people of color could vote in this country. We have great challenges before us, and we must expand our vision. We must be a media reform movement because media, good media, real journalism underpins real democracy. But we must link our media reform passion to a democracy passion. And we must recognize that we are at the beginning of the next 10 years of this struggle. 10 years ago, we met in Madison, Wisconsin to begin a movement. We didn't start something. We just took together all sorts of pieces and put them headed in a direction. So many groups doing work for so long. But we're 10 years in now, and we got to look at where we go from here. And it's a simple message. We must continue to be media reformers because you cannot have a democracy without people informed about how to make choices. But we must also recognize that when democracy itself is threatened, when democracy itself is assaulted by corporate campaign money and by assaults on our voting rights, that we've got to link these movements together. We've got to be about something much bigger. And we have to recognize what can happen in 10 years. In 1910, barely 100 years ago, just 100 years ago, if you looked out across this country, you would recognize three things. That women did not have the right to vote. That the people did not have the right to tax corporations so they could build a functional government. And that we could not even elect our U.S. Senate. It was chosen in backroom deals with seats bought by the wealthy. 10 years ago, we looked out at all that denial of democracy, that denial of our ability to make something happen. That was 100 years ago in 1910. In 1920, just 10 years later, women had the right to vote. Women had the right to vote. The people had the right to tax corporations and the wealthy. We had created an Internal Revenue Service, and we could elect our U.S. Senate. Our Congress responded to us, not to the billionaires. In 10 years, we made transformational change in this country. Brothers and sisters, the next 10 years must be just as transformational. We need a new age of reform. We need to link media justice and media reform to democracy reform. We must amend our Constitution to say that corporations are not people and they cannot control our politics anymore. And we must add an amendment to our Constitution that says Antonin Scalia is wrong. We do have a right to vote in this country, and every citizen has a right to vote and to have that vote counted. And we must create a media system in this country, a whole of media, private, public, independent, but a media that underpins democracy. Because if we take the corporate money out of the process, and if we guarantee that everybody has a right to vote, then we have to give them a media that gives them all the information, all the truth, so that never again can we be led into an illegal or immoral war by a president who chooses to lie to us and a media that chooses to watch on bended knee and do stenography rather than to tell us the truth. We want a democracy. We want the truth. We want media justice. We want economic justice. We want social justice. But above all, we want a democracy where the people shall rule. Walt Whitman was right. Stride on, democracy. Stride on. Strike with vengeful strokes against injustice. Make this country everything it can and will be. Yes, we will make America everything it must be. And we will do it not in 100 years. We will do it in 10 years in the same way that those who in 1910 saw that women couldn't vote, that corporations couldn't be taxed, that senators couldn't be elected. We can say in the next 10 years, we can have real democracy. We can have real voting rights. We can have media that serves the people in this country. It is possible. It is necessary. We will make it happen. Solidarity, brothers and sisters. This is our struggle. This is our moment, and we will make it so.